I was checking the expiration dates on yogurt when my phone pinged. A photo lit up my screen, a white SUV in my parents' driveway with a red bow the size of a beanbag chair. Surprise for Tessa, my mom wrote. I stared at the chrome badge Audi top trim while my grocery cart nudged the cooler and set all the cups rattling. 2 nights earlier, my sister had clipped a median, jumped the curb, and flattened a stop sign on her way home from just one glass of wine. A neighbor saw the whole thing, called it in, and Tessa called my parents from the back of a police cruiser. She blew over the limit, again. I'm Mara, 30 payroll analyst, the one who fills out the boring forms on time. Tessa is 26 and sparkles when she lies. My parents, Ruth and Warren, have called her sensitive since she was 7. Somehow sensitive covers wrecking 2 cars, leaving a bar tab the size of rent and turning every consequence into a tragic poem about how the world misunderstands her. I put the yogurt back. My insulin sensor was buzzing on my arm, reminding me I was overdue on a refill. Type 1 diabetes is tidy on paper carb counts, basal rates, but in real life it is alarms at 3 a.m. and a pharmacy that loves to say not covered this month. My insurer had changed tiers and my out-of-pocket shot up by $400. 400 isn't a catastrophe for some people. For me, it's the margin between calm and panic. I called my dad that afternoon. I had the numbers ready. It's a single-month gap, I said. 400 to cover the sensors and the new fast acting. I'll adjust my budget next cycle. He chuckled. He actually chuckled. Mara, you're 30. This is why people build emergency funds. These are prescriptions, I said. If I go without, I end up in urgent care. Then don't go without, he said. Plan better. I could hear my mom in the background, cabinet doors that quick, light way she moves when she's playing crisis manager. Tell her Tessa's court fees are about to hit, she called. Everything is stretched. Mom, I said, raising my voice, I'm asking for a loan. I'll pay back on the 15th. She came on the line. Sweetheart, you're very dramatic about your numbers. You always have been. Tessa is going through something real right now. You're stable. You're fine. Stable, fine. The way people describe a table, not a person. 2 days later, the bow arrived. I didn't call. I drove to their house on my lunch break, and there it stood, paint so glossy it reflected the clouds. My mother came out holding a set of keys like they were a newborn. Isn't she pretty? She said. Certified pre-owned. Safer. Tessa needs reliable transportation for her meetings. Her meetings, I asked. The ones she Skypes into from bed. Mom's smile thinned. We are focusing on support, not judgment. My dad joined us on the porch, arms crossed in that sheriff stance he uses even though he manages an auto parts store. You said you needed money, he said. We can't do everything. Your sister has court dates. She cannot be taking buses. I looked at the Audi's grill and tried to swallow a laugh. I had asked for 400. They had just signed for a vehicle worth a year of my paycheck. So, a bus is unsafe, I said, but Tessa is safe behind the wheel. She has a plan, my mom said. No night driving, no highways. We'll keep her keys if she slips. Mom always thinks she can negotiate physics. Tessa came out in a sweatshirt she had borrowed from me and never returned. She twirled the fob so the car chirped. Mara, she sang, don't be weird. It's just a car. I could see the reflection of all of us in the windshield like a family portrait warped by glass. Me with the tired eyes and the sensible shoes. My parents with their practiced optimism. Tessa with her perfect skin and a bruise blooming on her wrist from the arrest bracelet. For a second, guilt pricked me. She is my sister. She is also a tornado. Congrats, I said. I turned to go. My mother put a hand on my arm, soft but firm. We love both our girls, she said, just differently. There it was, the sentence they'd never said out loud, differently. Back in my car, I sat with the engine off and listened to my CGM alarm until it nagged itself quiet. I had 15 minutes to decide whether to buy lunch or save it for pharmacy week. My hands shook so hard I dropped my water bottle. That night, I took out a notebook. Not a rant, not fantasies about justice, a ledger. I wrote down numbers I had never totaled all at once. For 3 years, I'd covered my parents' streaming bundles on my accounts because we'll pay you back next month, and then nobody remembered. I paid the family phone plan because my dad hated the new app and told me to just deal with it. When Tessa's insurer kicked her to a high-risk pool after the first incident, guess whose bundle she landed in for a little while? Mine. It wasn't charity that bothered me, it was invisibility. The money left quietly, the gratitude never arrived, and the one time I asked for help that touched my actual survival, I got a lecture about adulting. I didn't sleep. I kept seeing the red bow. In the morning, I texted my parents and Tessa. Glad you're all safe, I wrote. I'm going to step back for a bit. Don't worry, I'm fine. By noon, the call started. My mom first. You sound hurt, she said on voicemail like she was reading from a counselor's script. My dad. We need to talk about your attitude, Malox. Ahashmahitu. Tessa 17 texts about how my energy was toxic and I should root for women more. I ignored them. I went to work and spent the day setting up direct deposits for other people while mine felt like a joke. On the drive home, I turned the radio off and listened to the road hum. Something inside me had switched from hot anger to a clean, cold current. I've never been reckless. I'm a planner. If my parents wanted me to be the adult who doesn't need help, I could be that with precision. That evening, I pulled my accounts, every autopay, every family add-on. I made a list color-coded. Green for mine, yellow for temporary favors that had become permanent, red for anything that endangered me if it stayed. I drafted 3 emails, not to my parents, to companies. The people who answer when you click chat with support. Please remove the following users from my plan. Please cancel this bundle effective at the next billing cycle. Please send final notice to primary residency address on file. My finger hovered. I wasn't ready to hit send. Not yet. Not from spite anyway. I had lived a long time wanting a referee to blow a whistle and call a foul on my family. There is no referee. There's only the moment you decide to stop playing with someone else's rules. I closed the laptop without sending. I checked my glucose and took my dose. I ate pasta with butter and watched a cooking show with the volume low. At 11:12 p.m., Tessa posted a boomerang of the Audi ribbon. When your family believes in your healing, she captioned it with a heart and a dove. I was tagged. A comment popped up under it from one of her friends. Your sister is so generous. I stared at that sentence until my eyes burned. Then I reopened my laptop. Support chat answered in under a minute. How can we help you today, Mara? I typed, I need to update account access and cancel add-ons, effective immediately. The rep wrote back, we're sorry to see you go. May we ask why? I wrote, because I finally learned a lesson my parents have been trying to teach me for years. I clicked the boxes. I confirmed the addresses. I read the fine print twice. When everything was staged and ready, I set the cancellations to trigger on the 15th. 3 days. Enough time to change my mind if this was rage and not clarity. Enough time to prove it wasn't. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd slept under a river. Quiet, heavy, clean. I ate breakfast. I scheduled my doctor without wondering how to say I can't afford that. I answered none of my family's 47 messages. At lunch, my boss, soft-spoken precise, asked if I could stay late next week to help with year-end reconciliations. There's overtime, she said. You've carried the team this quarter. Sure, I said. I almost cried from that one word carried. That night, I drove past my parents' house. The bow was gone. The SUV glowed under the porch light. Tessa's laughter spilled through the window, bright and careless. I didn't go in. I parked at the end of the block and texted my landlord to confirm my rent autopay date, not because I'd ever missed one, but because I was suddenly hungry for proof that I was solid in the places that were mine. On the 15th at 7:00 a.m., I made coffee, opened my laptop, and watched as 6 green check marks slid into place. A quiet exhale. No fireworks. Just the sound of responsibilities detaching like Velcro. At 7:08, my mom called. At 7:09, my dad. At 7:12, Tessa, then Tessa, then Tessa. I let the phone ring. I stirred my coffee and said out loud to my empty kitchen, okay, let's see who we all are without the bow. And that's where it began, the month my family learned how much of their life ran through me, and I learned what happens when the stable one stops cushioning every fall. Tomorrow, when the emails land and the first service shuts off the stories we've told about each other, we'll start to break. I am ready to tell you exactly how. When the bow came off the Audi, something inside me shifted from anger to calculation. I didn't want to shout at them anymore. Shouting never mattered. What I wanted was proof evidence that every time they called me the stable one, it was just code for the one we can drain without asking. I opened my laptop and dug through 6 years of bank statements. Every temporary favor I'd agreed to was still there, drawing blood like leeches I'd forgotten were attached. First, the family phone plan. Dad had groaned about apps and fees 3 years ago and told me, just throw it on your account, Mara. We'll Venmo you every month. Venmo never happened. That's $230 every month quietly vanishing. Then the streaming bundles. When Mom complained about the price of cable, I added them to my packages. Just until we figure it out, she'd said. The figure is now $186 monthly paid by me. They never thanked me because they never remembered I was the one paying. In their minds, shows simply appeared on their screen like water from a tap. Insurance was the next wound. After Tessa's first DUI, her rate doubled. My parents wrung their hands about keeping her safe. Their solution, fold her into my policy. I became the invisible guarantor of her recklessness. $257 a month, 3 years running. And then came the big one, property taxes. My dad had called me in a panic about lump sums 2 years ago. I offered to pay monthly through my mortgage company, just until we adjust he'd promised. Adjustments never came. $960 every month, money I could have used to pay off my own medical debt. Finally, the HOA dues. When Mom sighed about how the fees ate their fixed income, I said yes. $350 every month for 18 months. I sat back and added the totals. $1,948 every single month. $23,000 a year quietly bleeding from my account while they treated me like the boring, self-sufficient child who never needed as much. The thing about invisibility is that it's addictive for the people who benefit. They forgot. Completely. In their version of reality, I wasn't carrying them at all. They lived in a house that stayed stable taxes, magically handled services, flowing insurance, was always approved. I was the ghost engine behind it all. That night, I met my friend Leah at a diner. I slid the notebook across the table. She scanned the columns, then looked up at me. You realize you're basically their CFO, right? Their entire household runs on you, except you don't get a salary. You don't even get respect. Hearing it out loud cracked something in me. CFO. Chief Financial Officer of a family that laughed when I asked for 400? Leah leaned in. You don't need revenge, you need an audit. Stopwatch, decide, let them feel the absence. I couldn't sleep again. The image of the bow haunted me, but less as a symbol of Tessa's privilege and more as a receipt. They had spent $38,000 on her safety net while I was patching the holes in their floorboards every month. And they never saw me. So I made a plan. I would stop, not with a tantrum, not with a bang, but with the precision of pulling life support from a patient who never thanked the machine. I started small. Streaming. I logged in, changed the password, canceled the add-ons. It was the least essential, the easiest to dismiss as technical issues. The next morning, my phone buzzed. Mom is Netflix down, Dad's trying everything. Can you check? I replied, not down, canceled. You'll need your own account now. Minutes later, Dad called. Why would you do that without warning? Because it was never temporary, I said. It's not my responsibility anymore. He exhaled hard, the sound he makes when disappointed in an employee. Unbelievable. By lunch, Tessa had posted an Instagram story, a screenshot of an error screen captioned, "My sister sabotages my mental health." Thanks a lot. The irony made me laugh out loud at my desk. But laughter turned to steel. If they thought losing Netflix was sabotage, they had no idea what losing their invisible CFO would feel like. That evening, I drafted the next cancellations. Insurance, HOA, property tax, autopay. I didn't hit confirm, not yet. I wanted to watch to see if any of them remembered to ask the real question, why were we depending on you in the first place? They didn't. Instead, Mom left me a voicemail dripping with the performance of worry, sweetheart, you're upset. This isn't you. We'll talk it out. You've always been so dependable, don't throw that away. Dependable, not loved, not valued, dependable. That word did it. I clicked the final confirmations. The system responded with cold efficiency, your request has been processed. Effective next billing cycle services will terminate. The cycle was ending. I leaned back, closed my eyes, and for the first time in years felt the weight start to lift. Not because they had changed, but because I had. This wasn't a tantrum. This was an audit. And when the balance sheets hit zero, my family was going to learn the difference between stable and indispensable. They don't knock like normal people. They pound. The frame rattles. My plant on the bookcase shivers. I already know who it is because my phone lit up 6 times on the way up the stairs. I don't open. I speak through the door. Shoes off if you come in. A beat of offended silence. Then my dad mutters ridiculous and my mother hisses Warren the way she does when she wants him to pretend to be kind. I flip the deadbolt. They sweep past me anyway. My dad keeps his shoes on. The dirt prints look like small gray storms marching across my rug. Tessa hangs back. Sunglasses on inside. She looks like a billboard for Fragile. Sit, I say. My father folds his arms. We're not staying. We're here to end this. Good, I say. Me too. Mom starts first. Of course, sweetheart, your father and I are worried. This isn't you. Cutting off services, canceling insurance. You could get your sister arrested. Tessa peels off the sunglasses. You're putting me in danger on purpose. Do you know how cruel that is? I know how expensive it is, I say. $257 a month for your coverage. 3 years. Plus the phone plan, the streaming, the HOA, the property taxes. I brought the totals. I slide a folder onto the coffee table. Columns, dates, amounts, no adjectives. Dad barely glances. We don't need your spreadsheets. We need you to stop acting like an accountant and remember your family. I am family, I say. That's why I built the spreadsheet. It's the only language you honor. He bristles. You're punishing us for helping your sister. You should be ashamed. My voice stays level. I asked for a loan for my prescriptions. You laughed? Mom told me I was being dramatic. Then you bought Tessa a luxury car so she could be safe at court. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm resigning from a job I never applied for. They go through the cycle like they read it somewhere: denial, anger, bargaining, blame. Denial, we didn't know you were paying all that. Anger, how dare you cancel without warning. Bargaining, restore the plans and we'll cover some of your insulin this month. Blame, if you'd communicated better, none of this would be happening. I communicated for years, I say. In passwords and autopays and helpful little yeses. You only noticed me when the yeses turned off. Tessa leans forward. You could have asked me. I did, I say, and watch confusion flutter across her face. Remember when I asked you to pay your part of the phone plan? You sent me a meme. That was a joke, she snaps. It was also the only thing you sent. Mom reaches for a softer weapon. Honey, you're the strong one. You always have been. Your sister needs more. No, I say. She does more damage. There's a difference. Dad's jaw tightens. If you don't fix this, the HOA will add fines. The city will tack on penalties. Your mother can't handle that stress. Do you want her in the hospital? There it is. The threat disguised as concern. I picture my pharmacy counter. I picture the extra $400 the insurer demanded, the way my hands shook, counting bills. The hospital is where I go if I skip insulin, I say. You told me to plan better. I have. He points to the folder like it's dirty. What do you want, Mara? A thank you parade, money back? Tell us the number. I almost laugh. There is no number. There is only time I won't get back. I want you to handle what you created, I say. That's it. Mom's eyes fill. They are always ready. We never intended to depend on you. It just happened. Things that just happen usually had a helper, I say. That helper was me. Tessa shifts gears. She is good at it. Okay. Fine. You're mad. You made your point. But I have court next week. If I get pulled over without insurance, I go to jail. Is that what you want? What I want, I say, is for you to stop driving drunk. Since we're all wishing. Her face hardens. You're obsessed with punishing me. I'm obsessed with not funding you, I say. There's a difference. Silence opens in the room. Not peaceful. Bright. I let it stand. Dad breaks first. What will it take to turn the services back on? Nothing, I say. They're not coming back. He takes a step closer, the sheriff's stance. Don't be dramatic. I tilt my head. That's Mom's line. He grimaces. We'll pay you back what we can. You won't, I say. And I don't need it. I needed you to believe me when I said I couldn't afford the gap. You didn't. So I believe myself. He switches to business tone. We'll move the phone plan and streaming this week, satisfied. You can. It's not about satisfaction. It's about gravity. Mom blinks. Gravity. Things fall when you stop holding them, I say. I stopped holding. Tessa stands as if to end the scene by walking out. She glances around my apartment like a critic. Her eyes land on the little ceramic bowl by my door where I keep spare keys and a few envelopes. You finally got new art, she says, tone sweet poison. Cute. Dad grunts. We're done here. He jabs a finger at the folder. You can keep your books. We'll fix our own mess. That's the first honest sentence you've said in my home, I say. They move toward the door. Mom lingers. You won't even consider turning the insurance back on for a week. No, not for me. Especially not for you, I say gently. That's the trap. You make her danger my duty. Her mouth presses into a pale line. She nods once as if awarding me a point she resents. Then they're gone. The hallway swallows their voices. The elevator dings. The apartment is suddenly too quiet. Bishkus. I wash 3 cups that aren't dirty. My hands shake anyway. The folder sits where I left it, a small square of truth on my table. I should feel triumphant. I mostly feel hollowed out like a tree that finally dropped a rotten branch. When my heart stops thudding, I notice the ceramic bowl by the door. An envelope sticks out, bent where Tessa must have nudged it. My name on the front. The return address is a bank I don't use. I tear the flap carefully. Welcome to your new rewards account, the letter says. Your authorized user has been added, Tessa Lane. I read it twice. The account number is mine. The application date is last week. The signature on the scanned copy looks like mine if you squint. If you don't, it looks like someone printing my name with too much confidence. Heat crawls up my neck. I check my email. There it is again. Thanks for choosing Platinum Rewards. I scroll. As requested, we've expedited a second card to the address on file. My parents' address. For a long minute, I stare at the wall. The room tilts as if gravity took a step sideways. I set the letter down and start counting out loud. 1, 2, 3. It's something my doctor taught me for panic. By 8, my breath evens. By 10, the hollow feeling fills with something harder. My phone buzzes. A new text from Tessa. We're all hurting. You didn't have to be cruel. Then a second text arrives immediately after, clearly meant for someone else. It worked. Oh, she doesn't know about the card yet. I take a screenshot. I forward the bank email to myself and to Leah with the subject line, evidence. I add the letter to the folder. The spreadsheet is not a ledger anymore. It is a case file. The door is still closed. The dirt prints are still on my rug. I feel steady. I thought today was the end of something. Turns out it's the start of something else. Not louder. Sharper. If they want to keep playing the game where the stable one pays and the sensitive one stays soft, they should have kept their hands off my name. I lock the deadbolt again. I pick up the phone. Leah answers on the first ring. Say it, she says. They opened a card in my name, I say. My voice is calm. And they added Tessa. Leah exhales a sound like the beginning of weather. Then we're done auditing, she says. We document, we report, we protect, and we don't look back. Agreed, I say. Outside traffic moves ordinary as rain. Inside, I print everything twice. I put one set in the folder and one in my work bag. I wipe the dirt prints from my rug. The gray storms vanish. The room smells like lemon. Tomorrow they will call. Tomorrow they will cry. Tomorrow they will say, I misunderstood that it was all a clerical error, that a bank employee clicked the wrong box, that this is family business, and I am humiliating them for a simple mistake. Tomorrow I won't argue. I will email the fraud department. I will change my passwords. I will freeze my credit. I will keep my door locked. And then I'll start telling the truth out loud. Leah didn't waste a second. Screenshots, front and back of the letter. Save the text where she bragged. Then call the bank and say the word fraud in the first sentence. I did exactly that. The agent asked security questions only I'd know. First pet, first elementary school. Then she lowered her voice. The second card was shipped to a non-primary address ending in 13 Maple, my parents' street. Close the account, I said. We can and we will, but we also need a police report to complete the investigation. Do you know the authorized user personally? Yes, I said. She's my sister. There was a small pause on the line. I'm sorry, she said. She sounded like she meant it. We added notes. We set a new PIN. She flagged my profile to require extra verification on any account changes. When the call ended, my hands were steady. My heart wasn't. Leah texted a list that looked like a fire drill. Freeze your credit with all 3 bureaus. New passwords. 2-factor everywhere. Lock your phone account. Put a fraud alert on your file. If anyone tries to open anything, you get pinged. I moved through the list like it was a recipe. Freeze, alerts, passwords, done. The silence in my apartment changed from eerie to useful. The folder on the table went from proof I'm not crazy to Exhibit A. Then the family group chat lit up. Aunt Dora, the accidental whistleblower in our family, posted a photo from a wine bar. Tessa was front and center, glass raised. The caption, celebrating resilience with my girl. Thanks to whoever picked up the tab. In the corner of the photo, barely visible, was a receipt. I zoomed in until the pixels went blurry. Last 4 digits matched the new card. Leah's reply arrived before I'd even sent her the screenshot. There's your revealer. Save it. 30 minutes later, Ruth called. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was syrup poured over barbed wire. Honey, there's been a misunderstanding. Tessa added herself to your rewards account because you always said we're a team. We were going to tell you. I recorded my response as a voice memo before calling back. It helps me keep my tone even. Mom, I said when she answered, I've frozen my credit. The account is closed. I filed a police report number. If you want the case ID, I'll text it. From now on, everything about money goes in writing. She gasped, Police, you cannot be serious. This is family. This is identity theft, I said. The police line is where this goes. Your sister is fragile, she whispered. You'll ruin her. I looked at the folder. I pictured my insulin sensors in a neat stack. She did that work herself. Dad called seconds later. He skipped outrage and chose strategy. We'll fix it. Don't drag outsiders into this. It makes us all look bad. You dragged outsiders into it when you shipped a card to your house, I said. The bank is already involved. So are the bureaus. So is the police desk sergeant named Alvarez. I took notes. He went quiet. That's when I knew I had finally spoken a language he understood. Tessa arrived next. Not at my door, thankfully, but on my phone. She typed like a woodpecker. You're blowing this out of proportion. It was a convenience. Families share. You didn't need the points. I was gonna pay it off. You charged $462 at Vintner & Co., $329 at a boutique, and a ride share for $60. You didn't even try to hide it. She switched to voice. I'm calling. Pick up. I let it ring. She typed again. Answer me or I'm coming over. Do not come to my home, I wrote. All contact stays on text and email. Any in-person shows up with a police report attached. She sent a final message. Wow, you love paperwork more than people. I stared at that line for a long time. Paperwork is how I stay alive. Without it, my pharmacy says no and my body quits. If they wanted to make loving paperwork an insult, they picked the wrong sibling. I printed the texts. I put them in the folder. I added tabs, phone bank screenshots, case IDs. The plant by my desk leaned toward the lamp like it approved. Leah suggested one more layer. Call your HR, she said. Switch to paper checks just for a bit. If anyone tampers with your direct deposit, you'll see it before it disappears. I called. HR was kind and fast. We've seen stranger, the payroll manager said. Your check will be held at the front desk for pickup. For the rest of the day, I stayed off social media. I cooked rice and eggs and ate slowly. For the first time in a week, my glucose graph looked like a line instead of a bad staircase. My body reads stress like a second language. Tonight it was quiet. The next morning, a certified letter slid under my door. The return address was my parents' HOA. I sliced it open with a butter knife. Notice of delinquency, it read in bold. As of this date, no payment has been received. Late fees accrue daily. The number was already ugly. I took a photo and emailed it to Ruth and Warren with a neutral subject, forwarded notice. In the body, I wrote one sentence. As discussed, please handle directly with your HOA. Simple. No venom. No, I told you so. Ruth replied within 5 minutes. We are humiliated. Are you proud I didn't answer? Humiliation is a mirror they bought themselves. I don't have to stand in front of it. At noon, my phone buzzed again. A new number. Detective Alvarez. Ms. Lane. I'm following up on your report. His voice was calm, professional. He asked me to confirm dates, charges, the letter, the texts. Because this is family, we usually try a soft approach first, he said. A recorded call to ask for an admission. Are you willing? Yes, I said. He patched Tessa in and introduced himself. Tessa laughed high and brittle. Oh my God, are you serious? This is a prank. No, ma'am, he said. We need to clarify whether you had permission to add yourself as an authorized user to a credit account in your sister's name. I had verbal permission, she said too quickly. We're family. On what date, he asked. There was a pause long enough to hear her swallow. Last week. She said it was fine. Then you won't mind if I play a message you sent 5 minutes later, he said, and read her text aloud. It worked. She doesn't know about the card yet. The silence that followed felt like a room losing air. Tessa's voice came back tiny. That was a joke. Thank you for your time, Alvarez said. We'll document this. When the call ended, my hands shook again. Not from panic, from adrenaline draining out. Alvarez called back 20 minutes later. I filed the report, he said. Given the family dynamic, the DA may offer diversion. But the record will reflect identity theft. If they contact you, keep it in writing. If they show up, call us. Thank you, I said. I meant it. It is a relief to speak to someone whose job is reality. I expected rage from my parents. What came first was spin. Ruth created a new group chat with 3 aunts and 2 cousins and me. Mara is having a mental health episode, she wrote. Please give her space. She's inventing stories about money. We will get her the help she needs. I typed one line. Attaching the case number and the bank notice, I added screenshots. I muted the chat. Aunt Dora texted me privately. I saw the receipt in the photo she wrote. I didn't realize. I'm sorry. It wasn't a grand apology, but it was the first adult sentence any relative had sent me in years. I cried in my kitchen quietly. By late afternoon, the practical mess started. The phone plan tried to port away but needed a primary account holder. That was me. I approved the transfer and watched a responsibility leave my life with the same soft click as a closing drawer. I felt 10 pounds lighter. Ruth called one last time. Please, Mara, stop this before it explodes. It already exploded, I said. You just didn't hear the blast. You're destroying our family, she whispered. I'm destroying your story, I said. The family will survive the truth. She hung up without saying goodbye. I changed my locks. I put the folder in a fireproof bag. I ate dinner on the floor because my table felt like a desk now. The room was quiet. The lemon smell had faded. I could hear my neighbors laughing through the wall, domestic and ordinary. Before bed, I wrote one sentence on a new page, I am not your resource. Then I added a second, I am my own witness. Tomorrow the Audi will be parked somewhere, shiny ribbon gone but glow intact. Tomorrow my parents will tell someone that I've gone cold. Tomorrow Tessa will post something about haters and healing. Tomorrow I'll be at the bank with Leah closing anything that has a door big enough for them to walk through. And I'll ask you this, because I know the comments will be full if your sister forged your name, and your parents called that family, would you report them or let it slide? After the fraud report, everything spiraled faster than even I expected. My parents thought they could spin the story, but you can't charm a bank statement or guilt trip a detective. The first shock hit when their mortgage company sent a letter stamped foreclosure proceedings initiated. My father called his voice tight, asking if I could pause the nonsense before they lost the house. I told him calmly, I'm not pausing anything. This is what handling your own problems looks like. Then came the community fallout. Aunt Dora, who had innocently posted that wine bar photo, refused to retract it when my mother begged. Instead, she messaged me privately. They've been lying for years. People are finally seeing it. Jennifer for once went quiet online. No new selfies, no captions about resilience, probably because the detective had called her directly to clarify some details. The panic in her silence was louder than her bragging ever was. The strangest part? Extended relatives who had always dismissed me started reaching out. A cousin sent, "I always thought you exaggerated, but..." Wow. Another wrote, "Your strength is inspiring. Don't back down." Validation from people who used to parrot my parents' excuses felt surreal. Meanwhile, Mom doubled down. She left me a voicemail sobbing, "If we lose the house, it will kill me. Is that what you want?" The manipulative weight of her words didn't land the way it once did. I saved the recording, labeled it, and put it in the folder. Evidence, not guilt. I kept reminding myself this wasn't revenge anymore. This was accountability. They built their lives on my silent contributions. When I withdrew, the foundation crumbled. That wasn't cruelty, it was physics. But then came the letter that made everything final. The official police noticed that my identity theft case was moving forward. Seeing my sister's name under the section labeled suspect felt like touching cold metal, final, irrefutable. For the first time, the fear shifted from me to them, and they hated it. 2 weeks later, the storm had done its damage. The house went up for auction notice, their internet was gone. The HOA filed liens, and Jennifer, who once bragged about luxury cars, was suddenly posting desperate job hunt updates. I didn't gloat, I didn't need to. Watching them live without my safety net was justice enough. Leah and I sat at my kitchen table, clean, bright, lemon-scented, and went through the final checklist. Fraud alerts in place, credit secured, account sealed. My medical costs still steep, but now every dollar I spent was mine, not siphoned to cover their mess. For the first time in years, my life felt like mine alone. The last message I saved came from my father, his voice small for the first time in my memory. "We understand now. We were wrong. Please, just don't erase us." But the truth is, they erased me a long time ago. Every time they laughed at my illness. Every time they covered for my sister but dismissed my needs. Every time they chose convenience over care. Now I've chosen myself. The family they insisted I sacrifice for has collapsed. The family I'm building, Leah, friends who believe me. Even distant relatives who finally see the truth feel stronger than anything I left behind. Do I regret it? No, I regret waiting this long. And here's the question I'll leave you with. If your own parents and sibling proved they saw you only as a resource, not a person, would you give them another chance or finally walk away?